Hi, in this video I'll be talking about how to replace a motor mount on a 2001 Montana. And that of course is a Venture and Silhouette also. Down here, the motor mount on the right hand side of the vehicle is right down in there. It's kind of squished. Underneath this is the motor, that's the mount. And if you see it, it's a nice little torn apart thing there. It's supposed to be all the way back here. The motor shifted up here. What actually happened is I installed some spiffy new Ray Besto's high performance brakes, and then I tested them extensively and I broke my old motor mount. That in turn caused a number of issues. The car started vibrating quite a bit, and then I got what is called torque steer, which is by virtue of the engine being in here a little cattywampus. The vehicle kind of likes to go to the right or left just a little bit, just enough to make you think it's out of alignment, but the alignment was done recently, and it is apparently torque steer, which makes a lot of sense here, given that the engine is in here in a different spot. It should be about right here. Let's just say this point right here should be about right here, it looks like. I have a new motor mount over here, ordered from RockAuto. I don't know who makes this exactly, I think it says on the inside. This is a new motor mount, Wester, and I just ordered this off RockAuto, but you can get it anywhere. Apparently there's two kinds, solid rubber and then hydraulic. I think the hydraulic just basically has a little bit of fluid in it somewhere. Don't really know, but that's the new motor mount for this side. I'll probably put a separate video up for the transmission mount, which is on the other side. So that's what I'm going to look to get in there. So you can kind of see it right here. It attaches on the bottom on each side, and this are the two bolts that go up into that little part in the engine there. So I'm gonna see how this all works, and then I'll shoot some more video. So here we are again underneath, and this is the bottom of the motor mount. That bolt and then this bolt over there both need to come off. It looks like, I don't know what it is, I'll have to check out what it is, probably 15 millimeters. And so I'll take that off, but first I got to jack up the transmission, or the bottom of the engine rather, and that's this part right here. So as you more than likely know, I'll put a board here and then jack it up to take the weight off the motor mount, and then I'll take these bolts loose over here. So I decided I wanted to show you this. This is the motor going up from when I'm jacking it. I'll try to give you a good reference point so you can see what's happening. The motor just goes really quite far up. It was just totally sitting on nothing. So these nuts on here are indeed 15 millimeters. This is just the setup I'm using, and they come right off because they've been soaked with oil from the engine for quite a number of years. So they aren't at all difficult to get off, at least for me. So I'm looking at this, and the two nuts that I have to take off are there and down in there, and I'm realizing that there really is no way to get in there with a wrench in any timely fashion. So I think there's this is a plate right up in here. I'm gonna have to take that bolt off on this one and this one. I'm just kind of going by instinct here, and maybe you read a manual is a better way to do this. If so, please feel free to leave a comment, but that's what I'm going to try, and we'll see what happens. So this is coming out nicely here. I just put some long extensions on here. That one's coming off great so far. For this one, I'm just using one of these ratcheting wrenches. It's kind of dirty, but it just goes on there and came right off as well. Alright, so that worked remarkably well. Like I said, I was using one of these ratcheting wrenches, and the whole thing is loose in here. I'm just going to pull this out. You can probably see just how degraded this thing is. Looks like it's not quite detached, so I probably need to get in here with a couple hands and a screwdriver and kind of wiggle this thing out of here. So, but you can definitely see how that is in there, like that. Okay, so here we got it out. I had to unbolt this from here like that with two 15 millimeter bolts. But this is what we got. This is the old one, kind of rattling around in here. You can see it's completely just gone. This is a new one, nicely encased in this this stuff, whatever it is. Can't remember at the moment. Alright, installation is the same as reverse. This thing is in here. Only problem is, you notice that the engine is not lined up. It's far forward, so I'll have to get a pry bar and pry the engine somehow forward without breaking any hoses or wiring. And hopefully that just works pretty easy, but I don't really know. So, but that's the only thing. Otherwise, I'm not going to show all the installation. Basically, you can see it. There's a bolt here, one here, one here. These are bolted on now, and there's 2 bolts underneath as before. And I'll probably wrap up with a statement on how it worked, if it took any of the vibration away. Okay, so this is what I got going here. That's the oil pan. This is the frame. Between that, if you can see it, I put a car jack in there, just a little cheap car jack. Make sure you don't put it on the transmission lines or whatever these lines are right here. I think that's the tranny cooler lines. And just jack it out. But again, I'm not recommending this, but it did work for me to move the engine forward that way when nothing else did. Together, put this little panel back on here. My panel is broke off right here. There should be more right here. I got to go get another one from the junkyard. But I am done, and you can see the motor mount installed down in there barely. And just as a tip, I realized that you really need to put the outside bolts of this bracket on first before you put the center one on down here. And they're all 15 millimeter, but the outside ones, it really works to put on better. First, I also had to do a fair bit of jacking around in terms of up and down, back and forward to get the bolts together. But all things considered, it went together really well. And I'm going to put the tire on, and then I'm going to move to the other side for the transmission mount.